Ready? Okay. Good evening. This meeting is called to order. Roll call, please, Donna.
Vice Mayor Cruz, Councilmember Hewer,
Here.
Councilmember Campion,
Here.
Councilmember Lampson,
Here.
Mayor Powers.
Here. We'll stand for a moment for a moment of silent prayer there, and then the flag salute. Councilmember Lampson, will you please lead us in the flag salute after the moment of silence? Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Donna, would you please read the video statement?
This meeting of Galt City Council will be cablecast on Metro Cable 14, the Local Government Affairs channel on the Comcast Consolidated Communications and AT&T Uverse cable systems. The meeting is closed captioned and webcast at www.factmetrocable.tv. Today's meeting will air Friday, May 5th at 9 a.m. and Saturday, May 6th at 9 a.m. The City Council meeting videos are also archived on the city's website.
Thank you. Council, any agenda approval, additions, and/or deletions?
Yeah, I'd like to pull item E3 off for discussion, please.
You and everybody else, so that was a good one. Okay, so we'll pull that off. And now we're ready for the presentation, introduction of new employee, administration Cora Hall, our new Human Resources Administrator.
Good evening, Mayor, members of Council. It's always my pleasure to hire new members of our team, and this evening I'd like to introduce you to Cora Hall. She's our Human Resource Administrator. Cora comes to us from the Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District, where she's worked since 2012 in human resource. Prior to that, she worked for the Rayleigh's Corporation for many, many years. She started your career there, 17 years. She has a great variety of background and experience in HR. She's lived in Sacramento all her life. She attended the California State University of Sacramento, where she has achieved a bachelor's degree in human resource and marketing. She resides in Elk Grove with her husband and 2 children, and it's a pleasure for me to introduce you to her tonight, and probably has a few words to say.
Mayor, council members, thank you for having me tonight. I just wanted to say it's a pleasure to meet all of you, and I'm looking forward to meeting you, to working with you in the future. And if any of you would like to meet with me, please feel free to let me know, and I'd be happy to set something up. And I just wanted to take the time to thank Mr. Palazzo for giving me this wonderful opportunity, and I'm very much looking forward to serving the city of Galt.
Thank you and welcome. And now for Greg Steele, oath of office, and that's to you, Chief.
Stand right in the middle so everybody can see you. So I had the pleasure last council meeting to introduce new employees, and one of them is Officer Greg Steele. And I discussed how important it is to make sure that we have the right people hired for the citizens of Galt that share in our vision and share in our philosophy of community policing, community outreach, and treating everybody with dignity and respect. And I think we've definitely found that with Officer Steele. And so for those of you that didn't catch it the last time, he's a pole vaulter. He is a college grad from the University of, and I'm doing this off the top, so Kansas, right? Okay, see, I remember. And so he and his wife and his daughter live in West Sacramento, and his dad was a pole vault coach. He is an engineer by trade and spent 15 years in that industry. And I told this story last time, but it's worth telling again for those of you who didn't hear it. On a motorcycle trip, there's a car accident, cars engulfed in flames, and there are people that need rescue and people running away from that scene. And Greg decided that he's going to go in and run towards the danger and help save those folks. And I think as he told me, that was his moment where he realized that public safety and law enforcement is his calling. And so he actively pursued that, went through the academy, and now we are truly honored to have him as part of our family here in the city of Galt. So now we are going to officially swear him in front of everybody.
I, Greg Steele,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
and during such time
as I am an employee,
police officer,
I will faithfully discharge the duties
according to the best of my ability.
Now comes the most important part, where your wife and your daughter pin on your badge in a public. This is a time-honored tradition, and this is something that we in law enforcement never forget when our badge is pinned on us by our family.
Thank you, sir. Council members, Madam Mayor. Quickly, I'd like to give credit where credit's due to my family. Without their continued support, my wife Allie and my daughter Kelly and my father-in-law Alan, I wouldn't have been able to pursue a public safety career. So I'm very appreciative of that. I've had the ability to be on the road for a couple of shifts so far, and I've discovered something kind of amazing about Galt. As I drive around, if there are groups of kids playing on the sidewalk, kids playing basketball, they stop and they look and smile and wave to say hi to the passing police officer. And I think that honestly speaks volumes about the standard of living that you're all striving to achieve in this town. And I'm very grateful and very thankful for the opportunity to be a part of that. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Oh, welcome. We're very glad to have you.
Can I ask you what your PR is?
For
Pole vault.
17 feet 2 3/4.
Holy cow. Nice.
PRS. Welcome. We're very glad to have you. Okay, Donna, moving right along. Public comment, please.
Under Government Code Section 54954.3, members of the public may address the council on non-agenda items. Speakers may address council on any agenda item during consideration of the item. Speakers shall restrict their comments to issues that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council and limit comments to a maximum of 5 minutes. Please fill out a speaker sheet located on the table inside the entrances to the council chambers and forward the completed speaker sheet to the clerk. We have two.
Okay, so we have a couple. First of all, we have Sonia Pauser.
Hi. My name's Sonia Plosser. I'm the Outreach and the Homeless Liaison for the Galt High School District. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I'm here because I promote and coordinate a program for the Galt District at both schools called Every 15 Minutes. And it's been brought to our attention that the city is now thinking about charging the school district for the use of the police officers doing in that program. And it's kind of sad that a city would want to do that because this is a community service project based solely on protecting our students and our youth in the city of Galt. And we got some, I guess, preliminary numbers of what the cost is. And I guess I just have a couple of questions because I have some concerns over these figures because they're very off. First of all, I want to say that Sergeant Walton has always been a huge help to my program. He takes it upon himself to go out and set barricades up. He sets it upon himself to go out and do the cones. Galt PD has always been very supportive of this. It's never been an issue. And on here it says that they use city workers for 3 hours at a time. It shouldn't take 3 hours to set up cones, 20 minutes. The CAPS volunteers, they're all volunteer, that's free. They don't charge us for anything. And they're saying that the city is charging $200 for food and water. I supply all that. Not a dime should be charged to the city for food and water. I make sure they have breakfast, there's coffee, there's lunch. I'm not sure, that's why I guess there's some confusion as to where these numbers are coming from, because I get $6,000 from the CHP. They are the ones that promote the program. All of this is based on volunteers. So for the city to come and say that they want to put a price on students' lives, it's really appalling to me. And I feel I've done this for the last 5 years. This is all volunteer. This is what the city should do for our kids. This last program that we had, they're very short-staffed. I understand that. We had 2 officers there. We had 2 cop cars. And the last paperwork that I have shows 9 cars. There's never been 9 cars. So I'm not sure where these numbers are coming from. And I understand that there's now a sponsorship that the city wants to do of $3,000. And they have different events that are scheduled in the city of Galt. And they have us listed with other programs such as the Strawberry Festival, the summer markets, the Heritage Festival. All these things make money. We don't make money for every 15 minutes. I barely can scrape by with the $10,000 that we're given. $4,000 of that goes to bleachers, $2,000 goes to sound, $2,000 goes to the production of the program and the assembly portion of it. All of it's volunteer. I have to I get down to the pennies, and even our district is wanting not to promote that program because of the cost factor. So I go out and I get donations. Kaiser gives us $4,000 now because we've done this for 5 years in a row, and they say we have one of the best programs in the county. So I just would urge you to think twice about that. Don't put a price on kids' lives. Thank you.
Could I ask you a real quick question?
Yes.
Does the school board or the school district help you at all with any of this?
Very little. I apply for grants in the fall of the year prior, and like I said, the CHP funds 90% of it, but I have to go to outside funds now.
Okay.
And the CHP has already told us that if the city of Galt, if the PD are not available to do it, they'll do it all, but I want our police department to be involved. That builds partnerships. The students need to see the police in that way. It's a positive interaction. Okay?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Al Baldwin.
Good evening, Al Baldwin, a concerned citizen of Galt, a wonderful city. We get new police officers whenever we want them, and the safest city around. Yeah, it's pretty nice to be here. I have a couple of things. I see some construction going on 4th Street, and that's really good. We're going to widen it, and I don't know, maybe a little grass, maybe lots of asphalt. I don't know, but for a few years now, I brought it to the attention of the council about the round table that's underground over there that's possibly going to be covered. And if you don't know what a round table is, the railroad's the reason Galt grew so fast and so good, and it was perfect. It's when a train comes into town, the same train has to go back after they load up sometimes, so they pull off and they go on this little table. It's around little table, and it turns the engine around, and they go back on the track, and they pull everything back in the old days. If you want to see one, Folsom had almost identical to what we're going through. They were going to cover theirs up, but they made the decision to make it a historical thing, and it's beautiful out there at Folsom if you want. It's very similar to what we had here. Now, it's underground. You could see it from Brewster's across the street. You could see it where the circle was. And I went to the city years ago, and they says, well, it's not on our map. And I says, okay, let me see what I can come up with. So I brought them a new map. It's, I guess it's 3 feet by 10 feet or something like that. It's like the one they had. The difference is it showed it on that one. So you can't say you didn't have a map, and you can't say you didn't know where they put it if they put it there, which we were going to check it out and see. I would like to, the railroad, the old railroad in Old Sacramento was going to, after conversation, maybe look for a train to put there. But nevertheless, the railroad says, no, we don't want anything that draws people here, it's unsafe, and blah, blah, blah. All I'm saying is, on that part of it, is that I'd sure like to see something done to preserve some of the old town, because it's getting out of here, and it's being taken out. Now, number 2, because we only got a couple of minutes left, I see that the flagpole is not up over there. And the flagpole, when Galt was new, it had the tallest, highest flagpole that you could see from anywhere in Galt. Did you know there was a flagpole over there, Lori?
Yeah.
Good. Do you know what name was on it?
No.
Does anybody know what names were on it? You see, and these are veterans, and the town wasn't really honoring veterans for quite a few years by putting a flag on this pole. So I'm a veteran, and I was wondering why the pole never got a flag. There's a nice pole there. So I went over there with the flag, and I was going to climb the pole because it was locked and you can't get into it. And then I thought, well, if I get arrested, I better call the mayor. And I think it was Barbara Payne at the time, so if she gets a call that some nut is calling on the pole and trying to do something, she would know. Well, from that, it went to Parks and Rec, and they couldn't find a key to unlock the thing so they could even put a flag on it. They thought it was here, they thought it was there. It hasn't been used for so many years. What mostly, I guess, I'm concerned about is the city really concerned with old veterans? You don't even know the names, I bet you, that was on that. And you don't have to shake your head. I don't think you know them. It was from World War II, maybe one. It was the first people that were killed from Galt. And the 2 names on it was Joseph Smith, and the other was George Lippy. And the plaque that was on there, I hope you have it somewhere, because when you complete this thing, I would love to see the flagpole back up there again with the plaque on it, or even a bigger one, and maybe a little bit of a ceremony. Where the flag was started to be lifted up there every day. Armando took care of that, and I appreciate all the help that we got from the city with Parks and Rec, because it's a challenge to do that. But I'll tell you, the ones who died gave the biggest challenge. And we should never, ever forget that. And it's communication. Let us know what's going on. Thank you very much.
Armando, can you just answer quick or no? Sorry to put you on the spot.
Steve Winkler's in charge of the project. I think he's
Okay.
more qualified. If not, I can help him out.
Yes, Mayor and council members, we are pleased that the project is underway. It's taken a number of years to get to this point. As part of the design process to the roundtable question, we actually commissioned a ground penetrating radar study during the preliminary environmental clearance phase to see if anything could be found where the location was believed to be, and we did appreciate the maps that were furnished to us. And could find nothing there that would indicate that it was still there. And then I believe that former Mayor Cruz at the time reached out to the railroad and actually found some of the railroad people that have their history, and they actually had an indication that the railroad, after probably World War II vintage, went in and actually removed the structure, so that all that was really left was the ground where they're at, that there really isn't anything left to save or to resurrect other than just the physical location. So there really isn't anything to expose to our knowledge, and like I say, we use ground penetrating radar to see down about 4 feet to see if anything remained of the original foundation. As far as the flagpole, we have carefully preserved the plaque, and we're going to be relocating the flagpole out of harm's way, as parking will now be encroaching right on its existing location, and we'll be resetting a new pedestal, reinstalling the flagpole, and reinstalling the plaque in a nice new pedestal. So when we're done, I heard mention of a possible ceremony. If council would like to do something like that, we'd certainly be happy to work with the clerk and schedule that type of ceremony.
Steve, do you know whether there are going to be lights on the flag or not? I mean, otherwise, you've got to raise and lower it every day.
Mark is nodding his head yes. It will be a lit flag location so that it can fly 24 hours a
Good.
day.
Oh,
Thank you.
didn't know that. Maybe we could put a little sign where the round table was or something. Just a thought. Can bring it back later.
Okay.
Okay, where are we? We're at the information consent calendar, and Councilmember Campion, you wanted to discuss E3, and that's the City of Galt credit card account limit increase.
I understand the reason for the increase in the aggregate limit, but when I read the report, I'm unsure. You'll have one card dedicated with a limit of 20,000. So would you be using multiple cards if necessary for some future transaction, or is this in the case that if the aggregate is too high and there's no limit left available for the purchase?
I'm glad. Good evening. I'm glad you asked. The 55,000 that we currently have is distributed in small authorized limits to various employees of the city to make purchases in accordance with the purchasing policy. Typically it's travel and conference and that sort of thing. The additional 20 that we are asking for is to be put on one card to be dedicated solely for two purposes. One would be if we have the opportunity to take advantage of the state and federal surplus program, we could make a purchase on the credit card. What we found is trying to take advantage of that program is that other cities or other agencies were beating us to the punch, and so we're trying to be able to take advantage of that. The other purpose that we might use it for would be if we have some sort of emergency in town where we need to quickly procure some kind of supplies to cover an emergency. Our intention with the card is to keep it secured in finance department and used only for those two types of occurrences, and of course with proper approvals.
That sounds great. Answers my questions. Thank you.
So Emily, with the $55,000 limit we currently have, how many credit cards is that spread out over?
I have that information here. We have 34 credit cards. They're dispersed amongst the people in the city. The balances typically of the authorized limits typically run between 500 and 1,500. There are some department heads, and the finance department has one floater card that have higher limits, but most of them are basically very low limits.
Thank you.
Okay, do you want to add that to the? You want to add it to the others? You want to vote on it separately, or?
It doesn't make any difference. We can.
Okay. So do I have a motion?
Motion on the consent calendar.
Okay. Moved by Councilmember Campion, second by Councilmember Hewer. Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Hewer? Aye. Councilmember Campion?
Aye.
Councilmember Lamson?
Aye.
Mayor Powers?
Aye. Passed 4-0. Okay, where are we at now? Public hearing to establish the City of Galt as a groundwater sustainability agency. Mr. Winkler.
Madam Mayor and council members, Mr. Clarkson will give you a brief presentation. Some of it will look familiar, but because it is a public hearing for the public relative to our proposed actions, we're going to recreate a little bit of the history to get here, but we'll keep it brief. And Mr. Clarkson, take it away.
Madam Mayor, Council, I want to make one thing clear. Nearly 100 years ago, those two soldiers gave it their all to this country, those two local men. So it was World War I that we honor them for. So, now getting on to the regulatory issues. We have a recommendation to adopt a resolution, but before we do that, we have to have a hearing. And this is all in regards to the SIGMA Act that was adopted by the state legislature, signed into law by the governor, and it's a whole set of regulatory requirements that have us plan. Agencies are pulling any groundwater, have us plan for groundwater, protect the groundwater, and look out 50 years plus. And there's a series of steps that we have to go through, a series of regulatory hurdles and coordination with other agencies. It's all listed out, and we're in kind of the baby step right now with developing the GSA. The Groundwater Sustainability Agency, what we have is basically anybody who's dealing with groundwater, but also anybody who has can set policy on land zoning and stuff like that. And of course, the City of Galt does multiples of those things. And what do? You know, if we form ourselves as a GSA under the SIGMA, which is the Sustainability Groundwater Management Act, we're required to do a bunch of things once we become an agency. And that includes identifying our water sources, identifying how we're going to protect it, the uses, and everything else involved, and working with other agencies. The collaboration that we have to do in coordination is with these agencies here. They're all in our sub-basin that we have. The one's not listed there, and that was a Lower Consumnes RCD, and they're just out to the west of us. Forgot to have them there. There's so many agencies involved. But, you know, when we get in a room over here at the fire department in Harold, and you'd think that we never met each other and we never liked each other. You know, and it's just conglomerations of interests that are involved, and then we're going to have to come together and develop a GSP on that. It's going to take some time. The sub-basin, Consumnes sub-basin, is surrounded by all these other basins, and it's a sub. The basin is larger than us, but we just have to worry about coordinating with the people in our sub-basin on developing a GSP. This map here, it shows where all the agencies around us in the sub-basin, and that little tiny spot right in here, that's the City of Galt, and that's what the city limits fits right into there. We're a really small portion of it. We use less than 5% of all the water in the sub-basin. So we're a small entity, but high population for the area. This is the proposed sphere for the Groundwater Sustainability Agency. It's basically just our city limits, which includes the wastewater treatment plant. It excludes the small portion down in the southern part that is not within our city within our city limits. And so other agencies have come right up into our city limits and taken responsibility for that, developing a GSA over time. And whenever some questions come up about what happens when there's annexation and stuff. Well, you have to go and coordinate with the GSA who's it's assigned to and work a whole bunch of deals out. There's a list of stuff there. Now, next steps. First two items here, just going to take 30 days or so. The remainder, supposed to be done within 5 years. We'll see. I mean, it's mandatory. It's mandated to be done in 2022, but there's a lot of coordination, a lot of MOUs, developing technical advisory committees, and developing the engineering and the data out there sets to having policy questions, policies, and policy recommendations that are going to be brought to our boards and everybody else involved there. So this is a long process. What I don't have there, and you haven't seen it, I haven't asked for money yet, but it's in there. We don't know how much this is going to be. We think the initial plan is going to be around $1 million, and our portion will be determined, be negotiated, what that would be. So, again, the recommendation is we have to hold a hearing first, and then at the conclusion, if we adopt a resolution, then we will be on our way to being a GSA. Any questions? Oh, one last thing. From the clerk's office, I contacted them about 4 o'clock today. They had nobody responding to our public notices, and I've had nobody contacting me either on responding to this GSA.
I'm going to open it just in case and close it again. So I'm going to open the public hearing right now. And if there's anyone that has anything they'd like to say on it. And since we don't, I'm going to close it. Council members, anything you'd like to add?
I had a couple questions. Briefly, when it comes to annexations, if the city goes to annex additional lands to the city, does the water code set forth procedures on how that will occur? Is that what I'm hearing from you?
They set up a series of collaboration recommendations. They don't say this must happen. You know, like right adjacent to a Galt irrigation district,
right.
They could keep control of that GSA when it comes into our, you know, if we become the water purveyor, but that would be kind of different. And it's generally, it's discussed in the regulations about people working together and adjusting their GSAs as they start providing either water services or they provide land use control on it. So it's not a mandated what you do, but it's just it's
the guidelines.
Guidelines. That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
In this process, what is the next major event or task that we'll be aware of in the process of forming this and moving forward with a completion of this plan?
The next big item that you'll see is we will be coming back with a discussion and probably a set of recommendations for guidance to us on how we format the association with the other agencies in here. We're trying to get everybody, right now we've been doing this for several months, trying to get everybody on the same track in our sub-basin to work together on one GSP. That's a groundwater sustainability plan. We all can do our own, but then at the end, the state requires them all to have the same goals, you know, to meet the same goals and requirements. And so we're trying at this point to come together, and we'll see what type of MOU or what type of development of that forum is going to be, which will have voting powers. And we're hoping it'll be, you know, from council members, mayor, whoever on the agency. It's still being developed. It's so early. Like I said, we can't even, at this point, we haven't even agreed on the format to start the forum discussions. So we're early on at this point. But that will be the next one.
Is there a time frame by which that has to be accomplished according to the water code?
No, it doesn't. It just says the GSP has to be done by 2022.
There's a deadline on the end of the process, but how we get there...
From the very beginning date and then the last date?
Right. Probably the big ideological hurdle or practical problem that we're going to face as we're kind of we're one of the cats, but we're going to be herding cats here, is that most of the other agencies have very limited budgets. And this is, as Mark said, probably going to be $1 million endeavor. And with Galt and the county representing less than 10% of the total water usage as far as extracted water, that leaves 90% to these other agencies that have very limited budgets. So they're going to either have to raise fees and rates and things. They're going to want to have a say over their 90%, but they're going to struggle to find the financing to do their share of the study. So that's, I think Mark Twain probably had it right when he said that whiskey's for drinking and water's for fighting. Hopefully we can get along as adults in the room and figure that out, but it's going to be a challenge.
We do have, we are pursuing some grants. There's going to be some grants available for this, what they're talking about. So no applications have been done, but probably by August we'll have applications in. We'll be accepting applications. So we're just hoping that we can work something together as a group. So,
The authorization under number 2 for the city manager or designee to provide...
Get the microphone a little louder.
I'm sorry. Under item number 2, it's to authorize the manager or designee to provide all documentation required. Yeah, when you say provide, is that the intent there that they would have the ability to sign necessary documents in order to carry out the formation of the GSA?
correct. There's a systematic, or there's a system of questions and responses that we're supposed to do when we file an application to the state, and we'll have to sign it and certify it. It'll include the resolution. It will include several other things in there. So it's just to coordinate and to submit the application.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, Donna, would you mind reading the recommended action, please? Are you there?
Recommendation, conduct a public hearing regarding the establishment of a Galt as a groundwater sustainability agency, and at the conclusion of the hearing, adopt a resolution to, 1, establish the City of Galt Groundwater Sustainability Agency for that portion of the Cosumnes subbasin that underlies the city limits of Galt for purposes of implementing and complying with the Sustainability Groundwater Management Act, and 2, authorize the city manager or designee to provide all documentation required to become a groundwater sustainability agency.
Do I hear a motion? So moved. Do I hear a second, please? Second. Moved by Councilmember Hewer, second by Councilmember Lamson. Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Hewer?
Aye.
Councilmember Campion?
Aye.
Councilmember Lamson?
Aye.
Mayor Powers?
Aye. Pass 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark and Steve. And the treasurer's report now, Sean, that's to you for the period ending March 2017.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, City Council members. Tonight, I think I'll go back to the basics and just kind of reiterate the objectives of investing for the city. And that, of course, everyone's heard this before, but safety, liquidity, and yield in that order. And I just want to talk about the current city's investments. As far as safety goes, we have 57% of our portfolio in government agencies, and that's Federal Home Loan Bank, Fannie Mae, and Freddie Mac agencies. We have 20% with the state of California LAIF funds. We have 16% in CDs, both locally and throughout the country. And then, of course, we have 6% in a money market at here in Farmers and Merchants. And then we have our checking account. So when you look at all that, every single one of those investments are truly safe, either backed by FDIC or by a government agency, or collateralized at local institutions. So when you look at then liquidity, you look at 25% of our entire portfolio is liquid within 1 day. So that's good. That helps meet our daily obligations and the obligations that we have for the next 6 months. And then lastly, you look at yield. And for the month ending March of 2017, our yield was 1.10%. Now that's not great, but in this interest rate environment, it is pretty good. Yeah. And that I'm expecting that rate to slowly rise, and for 2 reasons. One is just recently I was able to purchase a new government agency for 1.5%, and then the LAIF rate is rising also. It's inching up. As of March, it was 0.82%, but it's inching up to about 0.9%. So again, we follow those simple basic rules: safety, liquidity, yield, and that's exactly what you have in this treasurer's report. With that, I ask for council's approval for March 2017.
Any questions, council? Can I have a motion to approve?
Moved.
Okay, second? Second. Okay, Councilmember Campion and Councilmember Hewer. Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Hewer? Aye. Councilmember Campion?
Aye.
Councilmember Lamson?
Aye.
Mayor Powers?
Aye, passes 4-0. Okay, now we're at the award of library expansion architecture, because you did both of them, right, or no?
I did not do both.
Oh, okay.
I would like to do the second one.
All right, I thought you were talking about the investment.
No, that's
Sorry.
it's a good lead-in, but.
Okay,
Okay.
take it away.
All right, and what the second one is what the mayor is referring to, and that is the adoption of the investment policy for fiscal year 2017, 2018. And every year, this investment policy is presented to the city council. There's a couple highlights that I do want to mention, and that, yes, Madam Mayor, the one highlight is, of course, the objectives of our investment policy, again, safety, liquidity, yield. But also another item, and that is the delegation of authority. The city council has the ultimate responsibility as far as how our money is invested. And because this investment policy is brought to you, you are delegating your authority to the city treasurer, which is myself, to conduct, to make those investments for the city on your behalf, again, following all the policies in this investment policy. So that's why this comes before the council once a year. And with that, there's authorized and suitable investments, which simply instructs me how you want the money invested. And again, it's pretty much what I just went over in the treasurer's report. I made no changes from last year's investment policy to this year's, except just simply changing the years. So that's always usually a question every year that I get. So with that, I'll ask that you adopt this year's investment policy for fiscal year 2017-2018, so we can continue to invest in the same manner that we are currently. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Farrell. I did not mean to slight you. May I have a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Second.
Hewer, Campion. Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Hewer?
Aye.
Councilmember Campion?
Aye.
Councilmember Lamson?
Aye.
Mayor Powers?
Aye. Approval 4-0. Okay, the award of library expansion architectural services contract and appointment of ad hoc committee to you, Mr. Winkler.
Mayor and council members, we are moving forward at long last with the next phase of a potential library expansion project. A little slow out of the gate since the initial concept was done almost a year ago. But we have been working behind the scenes with both the library JPA staff as well as the Sacramento County staff, which you previously authorized to provide support to the city in this endeavor. And we've gone through a screening process, had some 11 firms express interest in taking the concept and moving towards a final design. We kind of, after preliminary screening, shortlisted 3 firms to come and make a presentation, and the group, the selection committee was unanimous in recommending to you tonight that we authorize the city manager to execute a consultant services agreement with GRA Architecture out of Sacramento, and be for the next phase, and that contract would be, a scope is included within your packet tonight in an amount of $68,900. It is a step forward, but it is not a complete final construction set of drawings that in the next phase. It will be more of a final conceptual drawings that stop short of preparing the actual bid specifications. There's some concern on the library and county's part as well as mine that if we went all the way to finished construction drawings and we've yet to identify a construction funding source, that this could get stalled then in search of funding for several years. If we go through a code cycle update, whether it's the mechanical code, the fire code, the electrical code, building codes, then we have to take the finished drawings back and redo them for any code updates. So the thought is take it to final concept, it has all the dimensions, identifies all the electrical, HVAC, site planning, parking lots, and final layout, and specifies the equipment, gives you an updated cost estimate based on that final design concept, but we don't go down to specifying each and every item until we get ready to actually fund construction. So there would be a future phase, and we'd likely recommend keeping the same architectural firm on board if their services are satisfactory in this first phase. So that would kind of be an action we'd bring back to you after we hopefully successfully find some funding to actually do construction. So with that, we're also recommending the early phases will be a lot of functional input on how we take the concept to a final design. And there will be critical decisions made during that period about options and budget parameters. So we would encourage that perhaps council would like to appoint 2 council members to serve on a second ad hoc committee to help us make some of those critical decisions on are we going to raise the budget, or are we going to make cost-cutting decisions as we go through that formative process. So again, if you're so your pleasure to do so, we welcome appointment of 2 sitting council members to assist us in making some of those decisions.
Okay, let's vote on it and then see who would like to be on the ad hoc committee. So do I have a motion to approve?
Discussion.
Just have a question.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Go ahead.
On the documents that are going to be, or the work product that we're going to receive here, there's nothing proprietary in there or the city would have full ownership of whatever the work product is, correct?
That's correct. That's a standard condition in all of our consultant agreements, is that we own the work product.
Okay.
Okay, anything else, council?
Yes. So with, oh, I'm sorry. With the grant that we received at the last, was announced at the last meeting, and that's with doing the master planning for that 45 acres, the library is included in that, would be included in that master planning, correct?
Correct. The library is included in that area, so the master plan would include that whole market ground, including the library site, city hall, etc.
Okay, so that could affect the expansion? Okay.
Correct.
Conceivably, that's maybe another reason to not get too far down the path with the final design, although my initial guess is that the cost of a new library being close to $25 million, that we probably are going to want to try to salvage the investment.
Yeah. I would anticipate that the library would stay there, but where parking lots go and how walkable it is and you know, what that area ends up looking like in a master plan could affect, you know, what happens with the design of the library. So I think it's really prudent not to go all the way down that road. Okay, because I just wanted to, just because of that grant changing things. Okay, thanks.
Paige, you got anything you want to say? Okay, can I have a vote for that, please?
Motion to approve.
Second. Hewer, Powers. Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Hewer.
Aye.
Councilmember Campion.
Aye.
Councilmember Lamson. Aye. Mayor Powers.
Aye, passed 4-0. Now, council members, would any of you, I know you're on the committee, aren't you?
I'm on the library authority, so I would like to be part of the ad hoc committee.
Anyone else?
Represent the library.
Mayor, yeah, Vice Mayor Cruz did express an interest in being on that committee as well.
Okay, so,
Well,
maybe we,
she's already on.
well, I agree with Lori.
If Mr. Cruz wants to stay on, that's fine.
Okay, you're all right with that? Okay, good council member. Okay, so we've got Mark and Lori on it. Okay?
Thank you.
And you got that, Donna, correct? Okay. Now, we're at the city clerk's report. The major are Independent Citizens Oversight Committee appointments.
The recommendation is to review the applications and consider appointments to the vacant positions on the Measure R Independent Citizens Oversight Committee. Per the Galt Municipal Code, states that committee member may serve no more than 2 consecutive 3-year terms. Therefore, Tony Lara and Francie Spinelli were not eligible to reapply. However, I did receive an application from Ralph Cortez, who was appointed in 2014, and an additional application from Tina Talamonte that was also included in your packet. And then yesterday, I had an application dropped off from Matt Shelton. So I do have 3 applications for the 3 vacant positions, and these are appointed by the entire City Council.
Council? Your pleasure.
I would
Make a yeah.
accept all three.
Right. Second. You sign up, we'll take you. Okay. Do we need a vote on that, Donna?
Please.
Okay, call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Hewer.
Aye.
Councilmember Campion.
Aye.
Councilmember Lamson.
Aye.
Mayor Powers.
Aye, pass 4-0. Okay, you again, Donna, the City Council regular meeting.
Just a recommended action is to discuss start time and take desired action. At the last city council meeting, Councilmember Lamson asked to bring back the earlier start time at the next regular meeting, which is tonight for discussion. A little bit of history is December in 2016, City Council approved starting the second regular meeting of the month at 1 o'clock for a period of 6 months. And the success of the earlier start time was to be evaluated in August of 2017. So recognizing the occasional time conflict with working council members, staff would like to recommend changing the 1 p.m. start time to 3:30 p.m. and then reevaluating the time change again December 2017. We feel that starting at 3:30 would still encourage and provide an opportunity for the retirement community to attend the meetings while still offering an evening meeting for those residents who can only attend outside of normal business hours. And so with that, any questions or discussion? We also have quite a few.
We do have some speakers. Do we want to hear the speakers first? Okay. Speakers first. Ralph Cortez.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council, City staff. Always a pleasure to come up and chat with you folks. I just, and this is kind of new, the interim or the temporary or trial basis kind of hit me new. I wasn't sure that, or I didn't know that that was initiated at a time. The only thing that I have to say is I just want to give my feedback that I think, you know, being flexible is great. Appreciate the council trying it out for size, so to speak. In my opinion, I believe it's been a handful of meetings. Luckily, I've been able to make a few of them. And I think the only positive feedback I heard about it was from one gal, Chris Dazelle, that commented that she liked that start time, and she happens to be, doesn't work, so I think she helps as well. But I would like to suggest the 3:30. I would like to suggest that maybe 4 or 5, somewhere around there. I understand that you folks have your closed session, and I think that the 3:30 may still cause some problems in the earlier stages. So my input would be to see that maybe it might not be 7, but we look at possibly trying a 5 or 6 or something along those lines, and that will also lend some flexibility to you know, the start of your closed session. But I am glad to see this on the table, and I am glad that it was allowed. You guys are talking about it, and I just encourage you to look to the latter part, maybe not 7, but you know, somewhere between 4, 5, 6, maybe 5, 6 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you, Ralph. Al Baldwin.
Al Baldwin, the concerned citizen of Galt. Let me tell you, from the beginning, and I know it was suggested at that time to go to a afternoon meeting and a night meeting. And one of the reasons was, well, the other cities do it. You know, we should do it or try it. The other reason is that people that come to this meeting that work for the city don't get paid for it when they come late at night. And maybe if I'm wrong, please correct me, but that's what, they still get paid for it?
Of course we do.
Mr. Baldwin, I'd like to tell you that was never said
No,
during
it's
the
never
meeting.
said, but do the people get paid?
Absolutely.
They do get paid. Okay, well then I was informed wrong, and I apologize for that. So the only reason you would want to not have it at night so that other people can come into it would be pretty hard to come up with some reasons to have it in the afternoon. The comments I've had were from people that can't make it. Either they're working, and most of Galt, you want them to work, and they can't make it to the meetings. They could write out a request, but they're not sure it would be written or discussed, and they couldn't put their input if they were really concerned about it. A lot of the older people, like me, sometimes, of course, I'm not including everything, but they can't get into the computer and see it, and they don't understand how it works, and the only thing they can base it on is maybe TV, if they're lucky, and they know when it's going to come on, which sometimes that's not always it. The whole thing boils down to communication with your community. Through the years, I've pushed accountability and also making sure that people know what's going on, let me put it that way, all the time if possible. And this here, people cannot come in and make their comments about their neighborhoods, maybe good comments about what the council did. They can't express themselves anymore unless they can take time off from work or they can try and make it here. So if that's the case, I would say go back to the evenings, and especially since they're paid for it, because I was told they weren't, and that's really cool. That's good. They're still getting more money than they got working all day.
Just for correction, they're contract employees, so they're salaried employees.
Great.
Okay, so it's not a matter of being paid
hourly. It's a matter of they work as long as they can, and they still get the same amount of pay. But I've had the experience where I've hired people too, and they could work longer hours and get the same pay, but they're very upset for doing it, and they'll voice their opinions a lot of times. You know, I'm getting this, it's good money, but if I got to work 12 hours or whatever, boy, that really cuts into me. And so the exhaustion is there from working all day and then coming and sitting here. It's a real challenge. But you know, you opted to work for the city, you opted to be on the council, you've opted to do things that you think the city needs, and hey, we appreciate that. That's really cool. But I still think you should at least open it up so that people can express themselves in the evening. And I know this probably isn't true, but some people have said that maybe they're trying to get things passed when we're not there. No, I said, I did.
Yeah, really, and besides that, nobody...
Let me tell you.
Jeez.
You take a survey of what's going on. People don't know, and they start, public conception is really crazy sometimes. They call me and I ask, I say, well, that's not really right. Well, it looks that way. They don't want to talk to us. They're bringing it up in the afternoon. I'm telling you, you may not think so.
Tell them to call us.
They call you too, huh?
I said, tell them to call us.
Oh.
We'll give them the straight answer.
Some of them don't like the names they would use. So.
Oh, you have 5 seconds.
Anyway, you take care. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Go to evenings again.
Okay. Barbara Payne.
Good evening. I came this evening really out of my major concern was for Councilwoman Lapson, who ran and was elected believing that she would be attending meetings in the evening. And I know that the last council meeting I attended and she made it, but she got here late. She missed the Pledge of Allegiance. She got here after some comments had been made. And I think when she was elected, the people that voted for her expected that she would be able to fully represent them. And I know Paige believed that she could fully represent them. And then to change the rules and the time after the election, I think was not a good decision. I also think that by making the meetings in the afternoon, you can be eliminating possible future candidates who would like to sit on the council, but because of their jobs or even their economic level, they would not feel that they could come and represent the citizens. At the same time, I think it's very important to get a diverse group sitting on the city council. Mostly we are retired people, but it's good to have some of the younger people with their ideas, maybe people that are on a lower income, to know the problems. And I think it's really important that we have diverse representation on the council. I believe the evening meetings are better. It does give you more opportunity to have more people, a larger percentage of the population, to attend and get their input. And yes, you can watch it on TV, but it's good to have the interaction, to hear the comments of other people and have the opportunity. And I know that that's what you all want. So I hope you will consider changing the time back to the evenings, especially until Ms. Lepson has completed her term, and then possibly if you would want to change it so other candidates would know what they're getting into, that would make more sense to me. My opinion. Thank you.
We're not all retired, just so you know. Yeah. And some were just for a little bit ago. And Gail Weber.
Good evening, Council. Gail Weber. I'm here to support having the evening meetings also. Maybe change the time to maybe 5:30, 6 o'clock. I do support Councilmember Lamson, who the last meeting got here late because she does have to work, and sometimes having the afternoon meetings does interfere with her job. I'm one of the retired people, so I'm pretty flexible as time. But I do find having afternoon meetings and evening meetings sometimes confusing because I have to figure out which times the meetings are and stuff like that, and I would like it to be consistent across the board. I also do think you're cutting off a lot of people that work. There's a lot of people that work outside of Galt because it's kind of a bedroom community, that they're not able to attend the council meetings if they do have something to say. So I support going back to full evening meetings, but maybe starting them a little bit earlier. Thank you.
Bonnie Rodriguez.
I normally wouldn't do this, but Al brought up a topic and the majority of you laughed, and I feel bad because I get the phone calls, I get the emails, a lot of them, and you guys should be concerned that this is the first time you're hearing that. That means that the constituents don't trust you. And I was asked by 3 people to please come up and speak and tell me, and tell you what they told me. I will tell you this right now. 2 of them are staff members of this city who do not want their name out there because, well, you all have heard they'll be in trouble for speaking to me, first of all. But these 2 staff members and another community member are very concerned because it is the perception. When things are not consistent, you don't feel comfortable. And that's what the community is feeling. I hear it from both sides. I hear more than I ever would like to know. I see pictures. You would be surprised at what people do when they're concerned and when they're paranoid, which I don't tell them that specifically that they're paranoid, but in the back of my mind, you know, I try to keep them out. But it concerns me that you laughed because it gets around into the community. The smirks by certain council members when other council members speak, it's out there in the community. If you haven't heard about that, your constituents are not talking to you. They're talking to me and they're talking to each other. And I can tell you right now, those contacting me are not happy on a lot of levels. A lot. And that saddens me. I love Galt. I have done everything I can in my power to not be the true journalist that I probably should be. Because there is a lot out there and council is not listening because I'm assuming you are not hearing it, they're just not approaching you. But that should be a huge concern to you, that they're not trusting to come to you. Sit outside my door and watch. Watch the people come in, especially after council meetings. Watch them come in and sit and talk to me for hours at a time. This is a huge concern. I was going to read some of their comments. I'm not going to read them in full. But there is concern over there, and there is concern with, I am concerned with what the reaction I'm going to get when they hear about the laughing. It's there. Now, on a personal level, as far as the newspaper, it was brought to my attention that part of a discussion was that, oh, this will help the local newspaper because of its earlier deadline. This actually makes it worse for us. So on a personal level, selfishly, we were back at 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock. But anyway.
I would just suggest that these people that have such concerns is to contact their council members.
I have suggested.
And I have no problem with that. I mean, if it is a significant concern, then I think it should be discussed. I've heard a lot of reasons as to why people think the time was changed. I think if they go back to when the time was changed, they would see that the underlying reason was to look at a different demographic of this community to come to this meeting. Now, and we said we would look at this for a period of 6 months, reevaluate it. In the interim, Paige mentioned she brought up the issue that it conflicts with her work schedule. I don't think we had to wait several months for that. I mean, if Paige wanted to discuss it, I think we should have discussed it early on or at the time it was done. My concern and the reason that I went along with it in the beginning was simply because in the fall it's dark at 4:45.
Right.
And people, some people, if they're older, they don't want to drive at night. So I saw that as a potential benefit. At the same time, issues of controversy were to be scheduled on night meeting. So there wasn't like we were, the city I think was trying to accommodate the public, one, having a different demographic attend during the day if they so choose, and then still afford the opportunity for those individuals who wish to attend in the evening meetings, and those which we would know we would be generating crowds. So I think to say that there's some other motive is ludicrous. It really is, and that's why I laugh. I truly believe it's ludicrous. I mean, it is a rumor mill that people like to stir, and I think they need to actually go to the decision maker and ask them a question rather than simply going to you, who you stand up here and perpetuate a rumor, rather than just pointing out that this is what was said, this is why the council made the decision, and you can go to the record and see it.
I can tell you, Kurt, and I believe you, and I was here during all of that. I have the luxury of being able to be here all of it, and I do tell them that. I have defended this council and city staff and these police. I should be paid, not from the paper. I should be paid on the city's behalf of how much defense I have done, especially over the last year. And I get you. What concerns me is that I have told them that, so one of two things has happened. They believed me and moved on, or they would come and talk to you. They haven't done that, so they believe it. But if they're not coming to you, and some of these are coming back to me, if they're not coming to you, they don't trust you to come to you.
I think you're making a far leap.
Well, I can read you the emails.
No.
Okay.
For their reason to go back to you. I don't think it's because they distrust us.
I can read you the email.
Okay, just a minute. I want to say something right now. If I was a person in the community and I was not a city council member and people were coming to me with an issue, I would come to the council member. You don't have to say so-and-so said or so-and-so said, but to start this volleying back and forth that we're not trusted in the community and all that, I think it's an insult to us. Because if you're hearing things, believe me, there's people out there that come and tell us stuff. So I take, and my phone number, if they want to call me, goes straight to my cell phone. So I talk to everybody all the time. So I think this was not very nice, and I understand that some of you think that we have nothing better to do than not listen to anybody, but if you've got some major concerns out there with somebody that says something, you should come and say something to us. We are approachable. I'm sorry, my other office is on Lincoln Avenue. Trust me, they're there all the time. So, I just think that we maybe need to get it out there that if you think people are having problems, why don't you tell us about it instead of chastise us about it? That's my only thought.
Well, and I agree, and like I said, I have encouraged every person who's approached me on it to bring it forward or to speak. Most of them won't come and speak, like I said. A couple of them are afraid to.
And again, you use these terms as though that they are facts. They are not facts. You're assuming things.
I am telling you what they've told me.
Because they don't care. They simply may wish to voice their opinion to you because you will listen.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that they don't trust us.
Well, when they use those words, I'm going to take them at what they tell me. I haven't assumed any of them. And I'm not here to argue. I was concerned at the laughter because I know it's going to, I guess I'm more concerned that it seemed that council wasn't taking it seriously. Maybe you were uncomfortable. Maybe that's why you laughed. And I understand. I think it's a ludicrous assumption as well. People like conspiracy theories. People like to find things, which is what I talked to them about.
Okay, and we laughed because it was off the wall.
Again.
Well, I'll tell you why I laughed. I mean, one of the reasons is because we're on film, we're on television, it's taped, it's available at the library. I mean, there is nothing we could do that would be hidden. I mean, we are out here in the open, Ms. Rodriguez. I don't know how.
I'm not accusing you of it.
That when somebody says to me that you're trying to hide something, I'm like, really? It's like hiding in plain sight. So, I mean, I understand, Bonnie, if you're getting those things, but I would really encourage you is that you don't have to share names with us, but if those comments are coming to you, I know our city manager would really appreciate hearing that there's those kind of comments going on in the community, and he would share it with the council. We do need to know those things. I mean, I appreciate the fact that your newspaper must have quite the open door that you have people coming in for hours to complain about the council that won't come to a meeting and tell us what their concerns are. So, I mean, but I appreciate that you're sharing it with us, but please share it with the city manager. I think he needs to know if those kind of concerns are in the community, whether it's about police, whether it's about the council, whether it's about decisions by staff, because then we can resolve it. We can't resolve everything that's going on in the back room.
And I appreciate that. I do. I have crossed the line here because as a journalist, I shouldn't be up here telling you what people have come to tell me. Again, the reason I'm up here is because I do love Galt, and I do appreciate this town, and I have watched it, have some issues, and like I said, it was the laugh, and I get why you laugh, and I'm not accusing you guys. I don't think you're trying to do anything. Trust me, it would be in the paper if you were doing something, if we could find something. It would be there. So I am not accusing. I'm just concerned that there is a perception out there, and if you haven't heard it, there's another problem.
Well, I think there is a problem when they come to people that, okay, I'm going to stop right there, but when it's something about one of us, I would prefer that they don't go to Jean. I would prefer that they come to us, and I'll go talk to Jean about it. If it's personal, that we're not listening, which I think is not true, but, okay, Sherry Daly. Come on down, Sherry.
I'm Sherry Daly, and I live in the city. And I don't have a position either way. Harder for me to get to afternoon meetings, but if you care enough, you can arrange your schedule in many cases to do it. If there's an item you care about, I'm sure the council would consider posting those meetings as evening meetings. So that's great. What I was compelled to come up and speak about, though, is now the third time that we've had the editor of our only newspaper come up and spout opinion after opinion after opinion. And I firmly believe that democracy needs a free and objective press. And when you have the only newspaper in town coming up and giving her perception of what Galt thinks and chastising the council and even saying that she has been vehemently defending city council, I think it just goes to how unobjective our only source of print newspaper in town is. And it just has become kind of this gossipy rumor Facebook page sort of publication, and it's really, really sad, as evidenced by what happened tonight. Thank you.
Well, and the bummer is we've got more than one rumor Facebook page, so people should get off of Facebook, in my opinion. Council, anybody want to add anything?
No, I don't have anything to add. I'm, you know,
No, I meant comments, sorry.
comments. You know, if 3:30 accommodates Paige, I would go with moving the meeting to 3:30 because I think we still have an obligation to move forward with what our commitment was to the balance of the community that doesn't come to night meetings. And I think we reevaluate that again. As I stated earlier, you know, it comes November, December, January, it's dark by 10 to 5, quarter to 5. If the meeting starts at 3:30, you know, if we have to move the agenda around, you know, if someone wants to speak on a particular item, I think it gives those individuals that do want to come, and I'm not convinced that this is going to make a significant difference
I'm not
in the number
either.
of people that come,
I'm not
but
either.
it may be a different demographic. I don't know, and that's why I'm saying let's do it for a temporary period of time, like we originally discussed.
Well, and I have to say, from my own point of view, changing it to 1 o'clock as opposed to 7 o'clock made no difference to me. People are interested in what's going to be on there. They're going to find the time to come down here and be on whatever the issue is. And we have the same people all the time, which is great. We have community members that are here that will come, you know, to either meeting. But, you know, we have 7 o'clock meetings and we have 1 o'clock meetings where sometimes we're the only people sitting here. So I think it just depends on the issue. And if somebody is needs to engage with that issue, they'll be here.
I think we did have some people come to 1 o'clock meetings that did not traditionally come to 7 o'clock meetings. But I understand if it's a hardship on a council member. I mean, it was just, I think I'd like to comment the fact that when the decision was made in December, it really was, it was a reorganization meeting. Councils can reorganize every time. It should never discourage somebody from running for council because they could change the meeting. But I can tell you, for many years, I worked in the evenings and I could have never ran for council because as a nurse, that was my shift. And so I would have never been able to run for council because of my work schedule. One of the things that I was working I just recently retired. I was working, I knew my schedule needed to be flexible enough to be able to serve. Because, I mean, it says Ms. Lamson is serving at there's an 8:30 meeting every week on Wednesday on a committee. I originally said I would serve, and then I said, I can't do it. It's just too much of a time commitment every week at 8:30 when I have another commitment at the same time. So, I mean, I think that that oftentimes when you run for council, you need to be flexible. But I don't personally care what time the meeting is at. If we go back to 7 o'clock, we go to 5 o'clock, we go to 3 o'clock, because I serve on lots of other committees that I have to meet at 3 o'clock and 1 o'clock and 8:30 and all these other times, and I don't think it was ever done to try to keep the community away. It was really done to open up the community, and we did have people attend that I had never seen at a council meeting before. And to say that it was a complete failure, it was not. There were people that came and actually got up and spoke that they appreciated the change, and also told me afterwards that they appreciated the change. So it was not done to not be transparent. So I'm fine with whatever the majority of the council decides. I'll arrange my schedule, just like when I was working. I'll arrange my schedule, whatever I have to do, to be able to serve the community. It's what I was elected. It's what I said I would do. I think it's what all of us said we would do. We said our schedules were flexible because it does take, I hate to say it, it does take a lot of flexibility in your schedule to be able to meet the commitment. It's not just the 2 meetings a month.
Yeah, that's for sure.
That's absolutely. It's a lot of flexibility. Even just to be able to take phone calls from people in the community. You can't have a job that you can't take some phone calls.
Well, and it would be really nice to see people out in the audience that are interested in running for city council, but basically they run and then they start showing up at the meetings, from what I know. So. Okay, so
I'm whatever time works for Ms. Lamson. I don't know, or whatever time works for the council. I do think that, the comments about staff, I have a little bit of a problem with, because the staff have been working all day. Now they work into the night, and they're expected to be back tomorrow morning at their regular time to show up for work. So to say that You know, sometimes these meetings can go till 10
Yeah.
o'clock at night, 10, 11 o'clock, and then to be back at work the next morning at 7. When I was working, it was very hard some Wednesday mornings.
Yeah, I totally get it, and, you know, I am flexible with my schedule, but sometimes I do work all the way up till 5 o'clock and show up here at 5:30 or 7 too, and I know how tiring it is, trust me. And you are pooped on Wednesday morning. Okay, anybody?
So, when I ran, I assumed the meetings were at night. The first or second meeting I attended, it was a 4-to-1 vote. So we were gonna check some things out. I voiced one of my concerns that my police chief is out of the office for half a day. City manager and the department heads, I'm kind of concerned that they're out of the office for half a day when they're not available on Fridays. So I counted the numbers for the last few times, or actually every time. The first meeting we had January 17th, we had 2 public and 2 press. That's a 1 a.m. meeting. The second one, February 7th, the evening, we had 10 police officers, so I counted them separately because we were paying someone, and 32 public. February 21st, we had something coming up with the seniors, so we actually had 4 seniors, 9 new employees and their families, and then 2 press, 2 techs. The next 7 o'clock meeting, so that was a good day meeting. The next 7 o'clock meeting on March 7th, we had 4 police officers, 11 of their family members, and 27 public. So they're huge numbers. The next day meeting, we had 2 public and 2 press. The next 14th meeting on the evening, we had 22 public and 1 press. The next day meeting, which was the last day meeting because we brought up all the nonprofits, we had 15 public, 2 press, and 4 staff. So that the numbers are 131 to 50. The argument about the seniors and what's,
I don't understand.
There's no argument.
There is no argument, and
No argument.
I was counting who was in the audience.
There's no argument.
yeah, so we're asking you what was.
Well, so I just want this on record, that the numbers are not better during the day. And the argument, well, the discussion that the seniors, it makes it available to them, they can also come at night where the people that work can't. I'm not on salary, so I only get paid when I work. And it is seasonal. So, I really would also like to move the 7 o'clock meetings to maybe 5:30 or 6. Would you guys think 5:30 or 6, move it an hour earlier? Would there be a problem with that?
No, I think we need to continue to have 1 7 o'clock meeting.
You think 7 that late?
Absolutely. Well, I just think that, well, I mean, if the argument is about people working and about being a bedroom community, I mean, if that's the discussion, then you've got to give people a chance to get back to the community.
So with that thought, I was thinking if we moved it to 6, we could leave public comment open to latecomers that are trying to get here from commuting. And that way staff wouldn't have to sit around for 2 hours after work's over or continue to work till 7. So I did get a lot out there. And there was a letter to the editor from Michael Charles that does state a lot of things that Ms. Rodriguez stated, and that was on January 18th. So,
I like 6. I mean, I'll say it. 'Cause 7 to me is really late.
I'm fine with 6. And then closed session before the 6 o'clock?
Yeah, I can do that.
That I can do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to wait until after to have closed session, because if the meeting at a 6 o'clock, I mean, the 1 o'clock meetings, we've been doing closed session after the meeting. If we go to 6 o'clock and then we have closed session at 8 and 9 o'clock, I just don't think you make as good of decisions.
Well, that's where I'm at with the 7 o'clock even. Sometimes we're kind of rummy by then.
Well, I
know
think,
Chris does all the time.
I think the staff get tired, I think everybody's tired, and I don't think you look at issues quite as clearly at 10 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night.
Right. So council, how does 6 o'clock sound with closed session before 6? Well, is that doable for everybody? Both meetings?
Okay. Are you talking about for both meetings?
I'm sorry?
Are you talking about for both meetings, moving both meetings to 6?
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, can I have a
Does
motion?
that work for you, Kim?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Kim comes from out of town.
No, I just wanted to clarify, I'm like, are we talking about moving to second, so it's clear for the motion what?
I think this will help everybody. It'll be
I'll-
earlier, and when it gets dark, it won't be as dark, I guess, and, okay, do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Okay, moved by Councilmember Lamson, seconded by Councilmember Hewer. She's got late already, I'm tired. Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Hewer,
Aye.
Councilmember Campion,
Aye.
Councilmember Lamson,
Aye.
Mayor Powers.
All right.
I just have a question. Is we doing this effective the next meeting? I wasn't sure what,
Effective the next meeting.
effective the next meeting.
Okay, well, all right.
I mean,
Okay, yes, effective the next meeting, I'll make it.
Notice is already out.
I think that we may need to, with public hearings and such, we would need to check.
Okay.
I would recommend that you wait until at least the
Okay.
June
June
meeting
1st?
to ensure we don't have any other notices that we've
Okay.
messed up.
It's the first meeting in June.
Yes.
Okay.
And if we could,
Okay, do we need to amend it? I'm sorry.
I was just clarifying, this is, would this be until December as a temporary basis? Is that?
Well, not in
or
my book,
permanent?
but whatever. I'm one person, what is everybody else?
Forever.
Still further.
Forever.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
So maybe we should amend the motion. Do you want us to amend it, or do?
The motion is to move the regular meetings to 6 p.m. beginning
Closed session
the first
before
and
regular
second.
meetings effective June 2nd, I believe, is the first meeting in June.
okay.
And we'll just leave it June 6th.
We can always change everything.
It's June 2nd's graduation.
Okay, so do we have to revote? Hello? Do we have to revote?
No.
I'm asking Kim. She's the someone in charge.
No, I was just
Okay.
clarifying the motion that was made, that I understood correctly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are we all good? Okay, so moving right along to, comments by staff. So, Sean, anything else you want to add?
Thank you for staying.
No, thank you.
Chris?
Just a quick, just a quick development update. The annexation projects are moving forward. The Eastview annexation project, the application is into LAFCO. One of the items they're waiting for is a tax sharing agreement. I expect that to get to City Council either at the next meeting or the meeting after that. The city initiated annexation. We're still working on the environmental documents, especially the GHG reduction plan and the 35% air quality mitigation plan. We have had some drafts that we've been reviewing, so we're hoping to kind of get those cleared up in the next month or two and get to Planning Commission in the summer for that document, and then to City Council shortly thereafter. On the commercial development side, Starbucks Arco project is still slated for the Twin Cities site and should be grading soon. Their grading permit is ready to go, and they should be picking that up. Residential construction is picking back up now that the weather is improved, and so you have 3 subdivisions under construction. You've got Elliott up at River Oaks, KB down at Creekside, and then 4G's development on East Stockton in the northeast area. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Winkler?
Just to make sure the public is aware that as we're breaking the eggs to make our omelet on 4th Street, that we have opened up the vacant lot due north of Brewster's as an overflow parking area to serve the entire downtown area, as we're disrupting some of the otherwise previous overflow, and we'll be doing some additional signage and whatnot, but we do encourage the public to feel welcome to use that lot.
Great, I did see that. Emily? Mark? Our newest, Cora? Armando? Chief?
This past Saturday, we had the drug take-back through the DEA's office, and it nationwide, a lot of agencies in the area participated, but I think it's really important to thank the Galt community for coming out in full force. We had 360 pounds of prescription meds brought in. That's double what we had the last take-back. We ran out of boxes. So it's a great effort by everybody to bring all that amount in. It's not in the water systems. People aren't flushing them, and it's not getting in the hands of our youth. So tremendous effort this weekend. Second, this Saturday is our bike rodeo. in conjunction with the food truck event, and a lot of advertisement, and I think that we're going to have a great turnout.
That's at 4 o'clock, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Just so you can get it out there.
You want to expand on the food truck event location, Mr. Winkler? 4th Street?
Oh.
Or
Well, payback, actually, our special events coordinator would, Mr. Solis would
Who
probably.
didn't want to say anything, but there you go.
Venture Street.
That position's in the budget. The food truck event has been moved for the next 2 months at least, possibly a third, on C Street between 4th and 5th. So in front of Estrelita Ballroom, in front of Spawn's Bakery. The city will be putting out water barricades at our cost due to the inconvenience of moving them off of 4th. So we will be doing that for the next 2 to 3 months, or 2 to 3 events.
Great. Thank you. Jean?
Yeah, thank you.
Kimberly?
I'm going this week to the League of California Cities City Attorney Conference, where I hope to learn a lot of valuable information, so I'll give you a summary at the next meeting.
We'll have a good meeting.
Thank you.
Kurt?
No, nothing.
Paige?
Well, the school year is winding down, and there are lots of almost events every night, scholarships to be given out, and a lot of people who are so committed to our community have given out those, and we can't wait to see what our students are going to get from them. So
Great, that's good. Did you want to say anything about the youth commission last night?
Oh, yes, we had our last youth commission meeting of the year. These kids are phenomenal. On the spot, they can just speak without going, and well, It's amazing the way they talk, and we have four new joining us, some incoming 8th graders and some juniors and freshmen, and it's a great opportunity, and the Kevin Ton 5K run asked them to help, and they're donating 25% of their profits to the youth commission. So.
Councilmember Hewitt?
I forgot what I was gonna. Oh, yes, I attended the strategic, thank you. I attended the strategic planning with Mr. Solis for the high school district. We spent a long day working on vision and mission for the high school district, so that was interesting. I also attended Day of the Child event at the library. That was a really nice event. The Youth Commission and all of the booths. It was a great event for kids in the community and for the community. And met the new library director of the library. They have a new director.
Oh.
If you haven't met her, we had okay.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Good to know. Okay, I want to say a couple of things. First, about our terrific staff and the overtime that they do spend. Well, we don't call it overtime, but it isn't always their jobs to show up at every Saturday event. The chief is always at all the neighborhood things we have. TJ Kitati does a really great job of having events all over town. At any given time, you can see Jean there, and Steve's always there. Anybody shows up, so it's really great. You go to those events and you never know who's going to go, and council members always show up. So I just wanted to say that I really appreciate the fact that we are getting out there in the community, and we're having a lot of events. We had like 3 last Saturday. 3? Yeah. And so I just wanted to give kudos to our staff who really do always go above and beyond. We have a shred event, Donna reminded me, this Saturday at the Galt Market at 9 a.m. And so if you have secret spy documents you want to shred, go on out and shred them. And thank you all for being here tonight, and I'm going to adjourn the meeting.